The story begins with a spaceship flying somewhere in space. It was an American ship. It was in space in order to detect UFOs. An American agent arrived on this ship. He arrived on it to find out if they found anything, but unfortunately the workers on the ship for a long time no one they found out, and the agent was unhappy. When they entered the control room, suddenly the ship began to shake. Suddenly a pink spot appeared in the sky and a spaceship flew out of this spot. Everyone was very surprised. Suddenly a hologram of an alien appeared on their ship, which warned them that if they did not surrender in 15 seconds, they would destroy the ship. 15 seconds passed and the aliens fired missiles at the ship, but the ship had protection that did not let them die. The captain of the ship saw how the aliens flew to the planet Earth on a small plane, and she ordered her assistant to chase them. She boarded a plane and went in pursuit. Meanwhile, the Avengers were sitting in their kitchen after a long workout. Tony was about to leave, but the Hulk informed him that the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents were looking for Tony to inform him that aliens would soon attack Earth and they would need the Avengers to stop them. At the same time, a ship with aliens landed somewhere on Earth. The S.H.I.E.L.D. agents tried to stop them, but the aliens were able to defeat them. A villain named Ronan came out of the spaceship. He arrived on this planet to destroy it. Suddenly someone flew past them very quickly and was able to scatter them around. It was Miss Marvel. The aliens tried to shoot her, but they didn't succeed. She flew in with robot assistants. They tried to attack Ronan in response, but he was able to destroy them all. A fight began between Miss Marvel and Ronan. Ronan won this fight because he was very strong. After the battle, Ronan arrived on planet Earth to give people an announcement. He warned that if people did not obey him, he would destroy them all. Suddenly the Avengers flew up. They did not let him finish. The Avengers tried to talk peacefully with the aliens, but the aliens began to attack them. Meanwhile, on the alien ship they were going to destroy the planet Earth. They had a special weapon that could do it. The aliens were waiting for Ronan to tell them to do it and they would do it, but the Avengers did not let him do it. Suddenly Ronan ordered the destruction of the Earth, but the captain of the ship was able to stop the destruction of the Earth. She made her way to the ship and destroyed all the aliens on the spaceship. But Ronan was still on the ground fighting the Avengers. He easily defeated the Avengers, but Miss Marvel stopped him. Ronan was put in prison for villains with super abilities. Iron Man praised Ms. Marvel and invited her to the Avengers team, and she agreed. The next evening came. In one of the banks of the city, a video was being filmed. One of the cameras was filming the most important safe in this bank. Suddenly money began to disappear in the safe, or rather they began to decrease in size. The camera zoomed in and saw that it was an Ant-Man. The Ant arrived at the Avengers base and was met by a Wasp who tried to convince him to stay in the Avengers team, but the Ant came to the base to pick up all his things. He reduced his laboratory in size and took it with him. While they were talking to each other, the news was shown on the TV. The presenter reported the news that recently absolutely a bank robbery from which $20 million disappeared. The TV showed the recordings from the cameras, and when the Ant saw how the money decreased in size, he was surprised and went to his home. He came home and opened his locker where his suit was lying, but it wasn't there. He was very upset because someone stole his suit and committed a robbery in it, because only his suit is able to reduce objects. Ant arrived to his partners and told about the whole problem. He said that someone was able to break into his locker with a suit and put it on, but the thief did not know what kind of suit it was. When he put it on, it immediately shrank in size, so he used this suit for robbery. His partners promised to help him, and meanwhile the thief who stole his suit was robbing another bank, but when he flew out of it on an ant, he could not cope with the controls and fell. He increased in size and was noticed by a guard. The guard called for reinforcements, but the thief again decreased in size and flew away. At the same time, Ant's friends arrived who were supposed to grab the thief. They noticed him and tried to grab him, but the thief grabbed the money and flew away again. The thief arrived at his hotel. He had already started to undress, but suddenly someone burst through the door. It was an ant with an iron fist and his friend. When the ant entered the room, there was a man standing in front of him. The ant recognized this man. This man was once a janitor in the ant's laboratory. The thief said that his daughter was sick and needed money to cure her, so he was robbing banks. Suddenly the thief got up and escaped through the window. It turns out that the thief was informed that his daughter had been kidnapped, and to pick her up it was necessary to bring money. He came to pick up his daughter with money, but when he was going to pick up his daughter, the kidnappers did not let him do it. Suddenly an ant with his friends burst into the building. The ant shot the girl, but it was not a bullet, but a substance that it could have reduced a person. A battle began between the kidnappers and the Ant's team. The superheroes defeated the villains and the girl returned to her father. The Ant decided not to take the costume from the thief since he didn't need it anyway. A few days passed. Suddenly a golden ball began to form in the center of the city from nowhere. The police went to check what it could be. When they approached, they saw a man in the pit who asked for help. He constantly repeated that someone was chasing him. Meanwhile, the Wasp was talking to Miss Marvel. They were discussing the Ant that left the Avengers. Someone rang the doorbell and the Wasp opened the door. There were policemen with some man behind the door. It was the same man who appeared in the golden ball in the center of the city. The police left him at the Avengers, and while the Wasp I was taking him to the medic in the elevator, then the mysterious man began to tell his story. One day he was driving his car somewhere in the mountains and his car started to stall and he stopped. Suddenly someone tore the roof off his car. It was an alien robot. He was kidnapped and placed on a special chair and some liquid was poured into it. Suddenly he had a panic attack and the Wasp put him to sleep. This man's name was Michael. The Avengers arrived at the base where Michael was lying to talk to him. Meanwhile, the Wasp went in search of Michael's girlfriend. She was able to find her. Her name was Karina and she worked in a coffee shop. At the same time, Michael woke up. Tony told the Avengers that he had discovered a powerful source of energy in Michael. The Wasp brought Karina to the Avengers base so that Michael and Karina met after a long separation. It turns out Michael and Karina did not see each other for 2 years. While this Michael and Karina hugged, aliens teleported to their base. The Avengers stood up for protection and a battle began between them. The Avengers tried to distract attention while the Wasp tried to hide. Hawkeye was able to grab one of the aliens, and when he took off his mask, he realized that they were not all aliens. This alien was called Star-Lord, and he was an ordinary man. He told the Avengers that Michael was an escaped criminal who destroyed more than 1,000 people. Suddenly, Michael was covered with electric energy and scattered all the Avengers around. At this time, Miss Marvel flew to the Avengers. She discovered that the Avengers were all unconscious. She saw Michael and tried to destroy him. The Avengers woke up in some strange place. The location was constantly changing in this world. Together with them to this place, the Guardians of the Galaxy also got caught. They told Michael that the genetic code was changed, but the aliens did not calculate the power and Michael blew up the ship along with the aliens. Suddenly the Avengers teleported back to their world. Just at that moment Michael was fighting with Miss Marvel. All the heroes tried to attack Michael, but he was so strong that he defeated them all. Michael noticed his girlfriend Karina and saw that she was afraid of him. Then he teleported into space and now another villain has been stopped. That's it. 99% of viewers watch without a subscription. Please subscribe. The video begins with a S.H.I.E.L.D. ship flying somewhere over New York in rainy weather. It was night and therefore a girl named Maria was sleeping when suddenly someone attacked her. It was a Black Widow and she was not alone. Nick Fury was sitting in the corner. He told Maria that he did not want to harm she. He came to warn her. Everyone thought that Nick was dead, but no. Nick said that all this time he was watching Maria. He gave her some kind of disc and told her not to trust her colleagues and even the government. He also told her not to trust even the Avengers. The Black Widow let go of Maria and Maria tried to grab the gun, but Nick had a dazzling technology that blinded her for a few seconds. Nick disappeared and immediately at that moment a guard ran into Maria's room. Meanwhile, the Avengers were in the pizzeria. They gathered to celebrate the appearance of Miss Marvel in the Avengers. She had been on the team for 2 weeks and had already saved the planet twice, and the Hulk and Black Panther stayed at their base to guard her from the villains while the Avengers were in the pizzeria. Miss Marvel was talking about her childhood and about serving in the army. The Avengers were communicating when suddenly they heard screams on the street. They looked at the street and saw a monster flying down the street. All the Avengers went to help, and Tony stayed to pay for pizza. A waitress came up to him. He was going to pay, but suddenly the girl shot. He was hit with a dart and Tony fell unconscious. It was the Black Widow. Tony woke up surrounded by Nick Fury's Black Widow and Mockingbird. Nick wanted to show him something. They went into the room where the alien girl was lying. Fury said that this was a werewolf who could turn into the appearance of any person or character, and they had already begun to take over the world. Nick said that Miss Marvel found this girl in Hydra, and when she died, her appearance changed, which meant that aliens had infiltrated Hydra undercover, and this meant that anyone could be this alien creature. Fury also said that this girl had something similar to a communicator. Fury, so I found out that the creature was receiving messages from 2 places, from the S.H.I.E.L.D. ship and from the Avengers mansion, which meant that one of the Avengers was an alien who just had the appearance of a superhero. Tony couldn't believe it. Meanwhile, the Avengers were fighting against a monster on the street. They left it to Miss Marvel to destroy this monster, and they looked at it from the side. Meanwhile, a girl named Mockingbird said that when a villain named Baron Straker wanted to kill them with Hawkeye, but his assistant, who was actually an alien, asked to spare Hawkeye, Mockingbird and Hawkeye were put in different prisons, and therefore Fury thinks that Hawkeye was replaced with an alien in prison, and now in the Avengers spy team. Tony couldn't believe it and left. The Avengers coped with the monster and were already walking through the Avengers base discussing today. Tony was watching everything in his invisible suit. He was trying to find an alien, but suddenly a Black Panther noticed him and he had to turn off his invisibility. Tony told about the whole situation that Fury told him about and asked the Avengers directly who is an alien here werewolf. Tony said that the suspect here is Hawkeye, but Hawkeye could not believe it. The Avengers began a tense situation. Everyone suspected each other. Iron Man and Miss Marvel wanted to grab Hawkeye to interrogate him and find out if he was an alien, but the Hulk stood on Hawkeye's side. Hawkeye shot Iron Man and a battle began between the Avengers. The Hulk attacked Miss Marvel, but she was able to defeat him because she was stronger than him. Tony told the Avengers that she could no longer trust them since any of them could be a werewolf. Tony said that there were no more Avengers and flew away. Hawkeye said that Iron Man is right and that there are no more Avengers. But Captain America began to calm everyone down, saying that the enemy is trying to achieve this and that. Now he will lead the whole team behind him. All the remaining Avengers joined him, and Fury was watching everything from the roof. Now he knew that Iron Man was not a werewolf. Now it remains to find out from the remaining Avengers who is a werewolf. Evening came and Captain America entered the hangar and informed someone that they would soon take over the Earth. A Mockingbird came out to him and they both turned back into werewolves. That's who was actually a werewolf. Meanwhile, Thor was in Asgard. He was talking to his friend about his father Odin. He said that the Tree of Life had not yet been restored and therefore his father had little strength. When suddenly a ray appeared and Thor's father came out of it. He was very weak and tortured. His father said that a war was coming to their world. 3 warriors entered the hall and reported that Hemble called Odin because he discovered something. Thor knew that his father had no strength and volunteered to go there himself. Hemble said that a ship was approaching their world and that this ship exuded evil. Thor said that he himself would fly and destroy this ship. Hemble opened a portal and Thor was already in space. He flew through asteroids and flew up to the ship. As soon as Thor flew up, he was immediately attacked. But Thor was able to summon lightning and to destroy the weapon. Thor made a hole in the ship and made his way into it. Suddenly someone attacked Thor. Thor easily overcame this alien. The villain was able to approach Thor's hammer and picked it up. Thor could not believe it because only he could pick it up. Now the villain had the hammer and he could easily defeat Thor. The alien hit Thor, but missed and hit the control panel of the ship and the ship began to fall. Meanwhile, Sif came to Odin to tell him that Thor had gone alone to destroy the ship. The villain tried to destroy Thor, but when he swung, he somehow teleported to Asgard where all Thor's friends were. The villain began to scatter everyone around. The villain tried to attack Odin with a hammer, but the king alone did not let him do it and was able to grab the alien. Suddenly Thor also teleported back and then the villain he said that their auras are similar to those of the demons who attacked them, but their speech and bodies were not like demons. Thor realized that this alien took them for fire demons, but they were not them and they freed him. Thor asked him how he faced the army of fire and the alien told the story of how the Carbinians built their cities in the burning sky living in harmony until the demons appeared. The demons began to kidnap people. Then they saw flashes in the sun and realized that they were finished and they escaped from their home world. They loaded all the survivors in a cold sleep on the ship and he was chosen as the defender of the people. They were able to escape and are still hiding from them. The alien said that he alone protects his people while they are in a dream and that he needs a powerful weapon for this. Thor offered him his hammer, but his father suggested that they go to the man who made weapons. They came to him and made weapons. After that, they went into the portal which brought them to the alien ship. This ship has already attacked the fire demons, but the stranger was already a new weapon with which they could destroy them, but it wasn't all suddenly appeared in the sky and queen of the demons. It was Amora which was previously were enchantress. Amora attacked them and called other demons. Thor with a stranger tried to communicate with the enchantress, and the enchantress suddenly came to himself and asked Thor for help. But she did not speak as she began again to manage. Seth noticed as one of the demons got on the boat where he was in the dream people, but she could destroy it and were able to take control of the ship. But suddenly the demons again unable to get to the ship. Seth, they were detained. She could do it for a long time, but helped her weapons on the ship that helped to destroy the demons. Thor realized that if you destroy the enchantress, and all the demons will perish with it. They tried to attack her, but she was very strong. They realized that only together they can destroy it, and then they called the zipper, which could impress her, and the demons had gone. The enchantress disappeared. Thor and SIF were able to destroy all the demons, and now Alien Nation was saved by the alien. They were rewarded with Thor and SIF flew. The video begins with a fighter landing on the SHIELD ship. General Ross came out of this fighter. He was met by a military man who said that Director Hill was already waiting for the general. The military took them to the director of the ship, but one of the visitors went the other way. He was able to pass eye scans and got into an empty room. From the floor, a capsule that he was able to crack got out, and another capsule with the Hulk's blood got out of this capsule. He took it and reported it to the earphone. And meanwhile, the general and the military were sitting in General Hill's office. The general tried to persuade Hill to give him the Hulk's blood to destroy the Hulk himself, but Hill guessed that they are going to create a large army of people like the Hulk with the help of this blood. Hill said she would not give them blood, and they left. Meanwhile, somewhere in the mountains, Banner was fishing in a boat. Hawkeye was lying in the boat with him. Fishing calmed him and gave him a rest. At the same time, the soldier who stole the blood took out a gun into which he inserted a blood capsule. He took out another capsule and mixed it with the original Hulk's blood. He approached some man and injected him with this liquid. The man began to transform, and Hill even heard his cry of pain. Suddenly the ship staggered, and she turned on the camera to see what was going on. She saw an agent who was battered and with whom something terrible had happened. They arrived at this place, and all the agents were already unconscious. One of the agents was captured by this monster, and Hill was left alone with this monster. She contacted the Avengers and said that their base was attacked by the Hulk. She did not know that it was not him, since he looked like the Hulk since he was created from his blood. The conversation ended, and meanwhile Banner and Hawkeye were sitting in the forest. Information came to Hawkeye that the Hulk attacked the SHIELD ship. Banner could not believe it since he was the Hulk. Captain America and the Wasp arrived on the SHIELD ship. They went inside the ship where the monster was destroying everything. The Wasp noticed that this Hulk was red, and their Hulk was green. The Red Hulk noticed the superheroes and ran at them. Meanwhile, a Falcon flew to the Avengers base. He was ordered to steal something from their base. This time, the moment Banner flew to the base with Hawkeye. They were walking through the hall when suddenly a Falcon attacked them. The Falcon shot Banner with a dart and tried to grab him and fly away. Banner tried to turn into the Hulk, but he couldn't. Hawkeye didn't let the Falcon kidnap the Hulk. Then the Falcon tore his bowstring and began to fight hand to hand. But during the fight, Hawkeye stuck an electric arrow into his wings, and the Falcon flew away after suffering. Meanwhile, Captain America and the Wasp fought with the Red Hulk. The evil Hulk grabbed Hill. Someone controlled this Hulk with an earpiece in his ear. He was surrounded by SHIELD agents, but he jumped and flew away. Agent Hill gave permission to the military to destroy the Red Hulk. At the same time, Hawkeye and the Hulk were at the Avengers base when suddenly a Red Hulk burst into their building. Hawkeye woke up from the fact that he was woken up by a Wasp. Clint said that a Falcon broke into them, and then the Red Hulk and kidnapped Banner. Meanwhile, the Red Hulk tried to anger Banner so that he turned into the Hulk and destroy him, but the Avengers arrived in time to help and were able to prevent the Red Hulk from doing this. The Red Hulk was able to grab Hawkeye. He said if Banner did not turn into the Hulk, then he would kill him, but Banner could not turn since the Falcon did the injection that did not allow him to do this. The evil Hulk began to torment Hawkeye, and then Banner turned into the Hulk. He could not look at it. The Hulk attacked the villain many times, and the Red Hulk fell unconscious. The Hulk began to leave, but the villain got up and threw the Hulk. The Hulk hit him, but the villain was able to restrain him below and started beating the Hulk. Then Hawkeye shot a blinding arrow, and the Hulk was able to get out. All the Avengers had already arrived at this place, and now they could defeat the villain together, but the villain was able to escape. SHIELD agents had already arrived at the scene of the battle to arrest the Hulk. Since everyone thought that he attacked the SHIELD ship, Captain America persuaded him to surrender, and the Hulk turned into a Banner and he was arrested. Meanwhile, Captain America arrived at the Avengers base to contact the aliens. He reported to his boss that he had done away with the Hulk and turned into a Skrull. At the same time, somewhere on the base of the scrolls, one scientist was brought. Aliens approached him and brought him to a platform to which another alien approached. He was able to copy the appearance of this scientist with the help of technology, and now he could be this person. Also, the alien got the memory, and now he was like 100%. A real scientist was captured. Captain America was also in prison in this building, which meant that there was not a real Captain America in the Avengers team. But an alien. 2 months ago, the captain was at the Avengers base in his room, when suddenly his copy came to him. He was shot and Captain America was already unconscious. It was an alien who took the form of Captain America. Pigeons flew into the room and they turned into aliens. They began to draw a line, and with the help of the alien Reich, finally took away the identity of the real Captain America. The task of the clone of Captain America was to quarrel with all the Avengers so that they all broke up. And all these 2 months, the real Captain America was in prison. Aliens came to him and one of them put on a mechanical arm to start torturing the captain, and the assistant of the Queen of Aliens was watching all this. He ordered them to torture the captain until the captain tells how to make all people obey. They decided to change tactics. Captain America was training in a prison cell when suddenly all the Avengers broke into him. They released him, but the captain knew that these were just clones of the Avengers. He was able to cope with all the clones and tried to escape. He grabbed an alien who tortured the captain, and the captain began to ask him about where they were, and the alien said that it was impossible to escape from this place. The captain went into a room where a panorama of space opened. The captain realized that they were in space and he could not escape. The captain found the prison cell in which Miss Viper was. He went to her through the ventilation, but Miss Viper thought that he was an alien who just turned into Captain America, but the captain proved to her that it was him. The captain began to ask the alien why they arrived on their Earth, and he said that they were introducing their clones to capture their world and to live in it themselves. They were going to destroy everyone who would not obey them. The captain destroyed the electricity in the prison block and all the cells opened. Everyone who was captured by the aliens came out of these rooms. Everyone began to suspect each other that they were aliens, but Captain America calmed everyone down and invited everyone to unite to get out of this prison and save the world. Captain America went into the prison cell where the Invisible Woman was. He was able to free her and picked her up since she was unconscious. They were able to find the garage where the spaceships were and began to run to one of the ships, but an alien who had super strength got in their way. The captain ordered several scientists from the team so that they went to the ship and figured out how to control it, and the rest had to detain the monster. Suddenly one of the doors opened into the garage, behind which there were a lot of military aliens. The captain was able to find something like a shield and began to fight the villains, and in the meantime the scientists were able to launch the ship. The captain ordered everyone to get into the ship, but Miss Viper did not have time to jump into it. Then the captain began to fight with the monster to pull a little time. The captain jumped into the ship and they accidentally teleported. They only had to get to the planet Earth. The alien informed the Queen that the Avengers had escaped, but she was not upset because she understood how to control people. She saw how all the superheroes listened to Captain America's orders, which meant that ordinary people would listen to the captain. To do this, they had a clone of Captain America ready with which they would enslave people. The video begins with how the alien ship flew up to Earth and Miss Marvel flew after them. Since the alien plane did not get in touch, Miss Marvel saw that it was the ship of those aliens and called all the Avengers. The ship landed somewhere in the forest and Miss Marvel was already with him. The ship opened and all the Avengers came out of it. Miss Marvel thought that these were aliens who could change their appearance. The Avengers told a story that they were abducted by aliens, but they were able to escape, and to confirm their words they provided several aliens. The Avengers also said that they were kept attached to the wall until the Hulk was able to get out and free them, but this was not true. It was aliens who simply took the form of the Avengers. Meanwhile, Tony Stark was in his mansion and tried to create his own development to search for extraterrestrial power, but he couldn't. Suddenly someone started making a hole in his wall. Tony tried to grab his helmet, but it was too late. It turns out it was Dr. Doom and he wanted to talk to Tony Stark. The fake Avengers persuaded Miss Marvel to join them. At the same time, Nick Fury was standing near the board on which pictures of superheroes were hung. He was trying to figure out who the aliens had already cloned. The fake Avengers came to Wakanda where they were met by a Black Panther. A clone of the Black Panther who was in the Avengers said that there was a fake Black Panther in front of them, and he said that he was real. Suddenly the Wakanda warriors came out of the grass and they were armed and they could fight back against the fake Avengers. Meanwhile, Tony Stark communicated with Dr. Doom. Dr. Doom gave him a key that could determine which Separator was a clone and who was the real one. At the same time, Fury was reviewing the recording on which Captain America persuaded the Hulk to surrender to the military. He gradually destroyed the team, and then the next recording on which the Avengers allies tried to persuade them to listen to them, as they wanted to tell about aliens who could turn into people, but Captain America gave the order to attack, which meant that the captain was an alien in the guise of Captain America. Meanwhile, the fake Avengers fought with the warriors of Wakanda. They tried to destroy the Black Panther so that he would not tell the whole truth about who they were, but the real Hawkeye and the Wasp arrived, and now they will have to catch the aliens. Tony Stark was in his mansion. He was embedding a chip into his suit that Dr. Doom gave him. Suddenly a Black Widow appeared from behind. She said that Fury was waiting for Stark to talk. Hawkeye fought with his clone, and the Black Panther was now also fighting against the clone. Suddenly Thor was knocked out, and when he fell, he turned back into an alien. The real Miss Marvel saw it and immediately realized that the rest of the Avengers were not real. She began to destroy the rest of the clones, and now all the clones were defeated. Stark arrived to Fury, who was going to tell him that the Mockingbird was an alien, but suddenly someone shot at him. It was a Mockingbird. Tony said that he had a chip in his suit with which he could destroy it, but Tony did not know yet that Dr. Doom gave him a chip with a virus and his suit was hacked, and now he was badly electrocuted. It was a trap. Somewhere in space, a huge alien ship was already flying up. They wanted to take over the Earth and live on it themselves. At the same time, people were working somewhere on the Hydra base. One of the workers approached the Supreme Scientist and reported that if they launched modified satellites, they would destroy all people on the planet and no one would be saved. But the Hydra base would also be destroyed along with people. But the Supreme Scientist counted on it. He took out a gun and shot him, and then all the others. It turns out it was not the Supreme Scientist, but an alien who could turn into people. Meanwhile, 3 S.H.I.E.L.D. agents entered the S.H.I.E.L.D. ship. No one suspected anything since they were ordinary S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, but when they hacked the S.H.I.E.L.D.'s computers and intercepted control of the system, S.H.I.E.L.D. could not understand what was happening. She saw that they were not agents, but an alien who stole the appearance of agents. At the same time, somewhere in space, a portal opened from which the plane took off. A real Captain America was sitting in this plane, who escaped from the aliens, and he and other heroes flew to Earth. S.H.I.E.L.D. tried to report on the earphone that their ship was captured, but suddenly the alien shot her. But it turns out it was a robot that she created. She knew that there were traitors on the ship who were supposed to capture the ship, and for this she created a robot. Meanwhile, Fury and Iron Man were lying on the ground from impotence. Next to them was the alien queen who was trying to take over their world, and next to her was a timer on which time was running out. Suddenly time was over and all the stones were activated. It meant something bad. All military equipment and military moved out of the ship S.H.I.E.L.D. as it exploded. Part of the Avengers were also flying to stop the aliens, but suddenly someone blew up their plane and they fell into the water in the center of the city. They came out and a huge alien plane flew up to them from which villains with super strength flew out. They surrounded the Avengers and now they had to fight them. At the same time, Fury regained consciousness, but the alien queen was standing next to him, who was going to kill him, but S.H.I.E.L.D. ran into the building and did not let her do it. The Queen escaped and Tony and Fury were rescued. S.H.I.E.L.D. reported that the aliens were taking over the world. Some of the Avengers lost to the aliens and the aliens captured them and delivered them to Captain America. They thought they were saved because Captain America could save them, but it turns out it was an alien who stole the captain's appearance, and the real captain was somewhere else. The captain was an alien. He ordered the alien to bring the operator, and he was brought in, and the operator turned on a live broadcast on which the alien in the captain's body addressed the people of the planet. The captain introduced himself as Captain America and said that Brothers in Mind had arrived on Earth and said that the aliens were not hostile. He said that their planet was on the verge of destruction and that the aliens would help them, but this was not true. This appeal was broadcast wherever possible and all people saw this appeal. Meanwhile, Iron Man fainted from the fact that his reactor broke down, but S.H.I.E.L.D. subdued him and he came to his senses. Now they had to save the planet. At the same time, some plane landed to the aliens from which a mockingbird came out. She was also an alien in the guise. The Avengers did not cease to be surprised by the traitors when suddenly they heard a familiar voice from behind. It was a real Captain America with a mockingbird, but it was still little compared to the aliens. Suddenly from the sky headed in the direction of the aliens, a powerful beam that hit the aliens. It was Iron Man, but even that was not enough, when suddenly, someone landed from the sky again. It was Thor, who arrived from Asgard. Thor damaged the alien ship with lightning and it fell into the water. The battle between the Avengers and the aliens began. Captain America began to fight with his clone. The aliens defeated the Avengers and Tony realized that the aliens were using satellites to attack all of humanity. Thor heard it and flew to destroy them. He destroyed the satellites with lightning. The real Captain America was able to defeat his clone, and Thor destroyed all the super aliens. The villains were destroyed and humanity was saved. The super aliens were locked up in the castles, and the Avengers were thinking what to do with them. The next day came and Iron Man and Captain America were standing next to the statue in honor of the Captain and Bucky. Next to them were the police, who called them because people destroyed this statue because they believed that the Captain was now a traitor. Tony came to J. Jonah Jameson because he published an article about Captain America being a traitor. Tony tried to explain that at that moment there was an alien in the guise of a captain, and not the real Captain America, but he didn't believe it. Then Tony offered to interview Captain America about aliens and how he did it involved. J. Jason singled out one girl and a photographer named Parker for them to interview. They arrived at the SHIELD base. Since the alien crashed the ship, now it was their temporary base near which there were always a lot of people who believed that Captain America was a traitor. From this base, the villains had to be taken to another base and Parker and the girl went to interview Captain America at this time while he was guarding the car with the villains. Suddenly the car in front blew up. It was done by a monster who was standing on the road. They wanted to pick up the villains. The girl noticed that Parker had disappeared somewhere while the Captain was fighting monsters. The Captain was captured and began to be tortured when Spider-Man suddenly appeared and helped to free the Captain. Suddenly the road began to fail and the car, along with the Captain and the Spider, fell into the subway. The Captain took the Spider out of the wreckage and pulled the villains out of this car. They could not call for help because they did not catch the connection. The Captain told the people to follow the Spider and he would lead them out. But when they were walking through the tunnels, the Spider's spider sense worked and he went to the Captain to say that there was danger somewhere nearby. But suddenly the Spider's instinct worked again and there was an explosion from which the Spider barely managed to save the Captain. The villain made an explosion together with his partners. The villains surrounded the people with superheroes and they could not do anything. Miss Viper said that if the Captain freed her, the villains would not harm people, but the Captain was not going to let her go. While he fought with Spider-Man against the villains, the SHIELD agent took people out of the subway. The Captain and Spider coped with half of the villains and the Captain ordered the Spider to go help people get out of the subway. Meanwhile, the villain stopped people and was going to destroy them, but the Spider arrived in time and stopped him. He pulled out his iron hands when suddenly the ceiling began to break off, but the Spider began to restrain him with his strength. The villains returned and were going to destroy everyone again. The Captain was captured and Spider-Man could not do anything because he was holding the ceiling so that it would not fall off. Then people started throwing stones at the villains and the Captain was able to get out, but it was too late. Spider could no longer restrain the ceiling and it was already supposed to collapse, when suddenly the ceiling began to rise by itself and he flew away. It turns out that Thor and Iron Man were there. They picked him up. The Spider fainted because it was very strong. The next day came and the newspapers wrote about the feat of the Captain and the Spider. Now the Captain's reputation was clean and he could continue to save the world. An alarm sounds at the base of Weapon X. A squad of armed soldiers lines up at the door to the laboratory. The squad leader hears that there is a shootout going on outside the door. People can be heard shouting. A figure appears in the darkness behind the squad. The soldiers start shooting, but they don't take the stranger's bullets. That a mysterious figure emerges from the darkness. It was Vision. He steps on the soldiers. The soldiers open fire again, but the bullets do not harm Vision. One of the soldiers shoots at the attacker with a rocket. There is an explosion. Vision disappears in a puff of smoke. The android is attacking the squad. He throws the soldiers away. Random gunfire and screams are heard. After a few moments, the squad is destroyed. Vision approaches the container with adamantium. He reports on his current status. The first goal, adamantium, has been achieved. Now Vision is heading to the second target, the Avengers Mansion. Captain America, Hawkeye, and Thor arrive in Wakanda. They are greeted by the King of Wakanda, the Black Panther. The captain brought his destroyed shield to Wakanda. The captain asks the Panther if it will be possible to restore his shield. The King of Wakanda claims that his people know how to handle vibranium. The captain asks T'Challa to join the Avengers. The Panther, in turn, wants to understand who is now the leader of the Avengers. After all, Iron Man abandoned everyone in a moment of danger. This remark infuriates Hawkeye, and he rushes to the Panther. The heroes are separated by Cap. The King of Wakanda promises to repair the captain's shield, but his help to the Avengers will end their .at this time. Jane Foster and the Wasp are watching a horror movie in the Avengers mansion. Vision enters the mansion and attacks the girls. He needs the captain's shield. Vision gives the girls 10 seconds to tell him where the shield is. The Wasp rushes at the uninvited guest, but Vision easily wins and began to threaten that he would kill the Wasp if he was not shown the location of the shield. Jane, fearing for her friend's life, tells Vision that the shield is in Wakanda. Vision destroys the room, burying the girls under the rubble. Vision then takes the Avengers Quinjet with access codes to Wakanda.at, the Arena of Kings in Wakanda. T'Challa tells the captain and the others that the captain's shield is made of vibranium, which the Wakandans gave to the President of the United States. To restore the shield, scientists use a sound beam. Hawkeye reminds Chael of an old Wakanda custom that anyone can take part in a duel for the crown of Wakanda. Hawkeye wants to challenge the Panther, but he is interrupted by T'Challa's bodyguard, sending the archer to the ground with an accurate spear strike. The Avengers are informed that another Avengers Quinjet has entered the airspace of Wakanda. The captain and the others are going to check. Thor boards the ship and is attacked by Vision. Thor falls at the feet of Cap and Panther. Vision appears on the ladder. Cap rushes to attack, but can't do anything to the enemy. Vision is heading through the jungle to the vibranium deposits. T'Challa orders his men to defend Wakanda. Vision deals with the troops of the Wakandans and then attacks Cap and Panther. Vision easily scatters heroes and cuts trees with a laser beam. Vision attacks Thor, but even the God of Thunder can't do anything. Thor rises into the sky and summons lightning. T'Challa orders his men to leave the jungle, but Vision continues on his way. Ignoring the lightning, Thor descends from heaven and reports that the alien is nowhere to be found. The heroes head to the vibranium mine. Vision destroys the mine guards and captures vibranium in the mine. He is again overtaken by Captain America, Panther, and Thor. Vision demands that the captain give him his shield. The captain refuses. The Panther scans the Vision and finds out that it is not a person. Thor rushes to attack, but flies away from the blow of the Vision. The captain and the Panther also engage in a fight. Vision is too strong for them. T'Challa throws a vibranium blade at Vision and wounds Vision. Thor is about to use lightning, but T'Challa stops him. It is too dangerous to use lightning near vibranium. Vision finds out the location of the captain's shield and heads to the arena of the Kings of Wakanda. In the Avengers mansion, the Wasp wakes up and wants to report the attack to the captain, but neither Cap nor Thor nor Panther get in touch. Vision arrives at the arena. Here he encounters Hawkeye. The archer shoots arrow after arrow at the enemy, but they cannot cause any damage to the Vision. As a result, Clint manages to bring down one of the stone statues on the enemy.at. This moment, the Wasp contacts him. Clint is already celebrating his victory, but then Vision appears in front of him. The android knocks Clint out with one punch. Vision heads for the captain's shield. Thor, the captain, and the Panther arrive at the arena. T'Challa asks his comrades to detain Vision for at least a couple of minutes. Thor and Cap rush at the enemy. Vision easily fends off their attacks. The Panther manages to turn on the sound beam at this time. The hand of the Vision falls into the beam and begins to collapse. The android retreats. The captain's shield is restored and T'Challa returns it to its owner with a kick. The Avengers charge again. Now Vision can't fight off their blows. Clint, Thor, and Panther take turns attacking Vision. The android decides to retreat. T'Challa thanks the Avengers for their help. At the Avengers mansion, the Wasp advises Jane Foster to stay away from Thor, as it is dangerous. The damaged Vision returns to its master. Ultron is unhappy with the failure of the mission, but his new adamantium body is almost ready. Soon Ultron will be indestructible. The next day, people are running down the street of New York in a panic. 3 robbers overturned a bank armored car. Arriving at the scene of the incident, the police call for the help of a tank. One of the criminals runs away and slams the tank into the building with a blow of his head. Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, and Hawkeye arrive at the scene. The Avengers come to grips with the robbers. Scoundrels get what they deserve. A charmer watches the fight from a parallel dimension. She is standing next to Loki, bound hand and foot. The Enchantress offers the god of deception a deal. The Enchantress has recently received new powers and wants to spend them to take revenge on Thor. Loki asks the Enchantress to name the terms of the deal. A strange darkness is gathering over the Avengers in New York. Thor, Cap, and Iron Man fall into a strange force field. Clint rushes to his friends, but the field throws him away. The three Avengers are changing. They've lost their powers. The bandits come to their senses and attack the powerless Avengers. The captain is deprived of the action of the super soldier serum. Now he is a simple skinny guy. Stark's suit has turned into a prototype and Tony does not remember how to control it. Thor is now just a bully with a sledgehammer. However, the Avengers are not going to back down. The villains rush at the heroes. Stark and Cap are thrown aside. One of the villains breaks Thor's leg. Clint enters the battle and asks his friends to retreat. Reluctantly, the Avengers leave the scene of the fight. Loki and the Enchantress are watching these events. The god of deception asks the sorceress to send him to Earth so that he can kill Thor. The Enchantress agrees, but reminds that her spell only works until the hero's inner forces awaken. The Enchantress transmigrates Loki's spirit into the destroyer's armor and sends him to Earth. The Avengers descend into the subway. They're heading to the Avengers base. It turns out that not only Tony's armor has changed, he himself has lost his intelligence and now can't figure out his costume. Thor falls into despair. He believes that without the hammer he is useless. Cap, however, refuses to leave his friend. The Avengers mansion is a couple of blocks away when the villains overtake the Avengers. Clint tries to detain the villains, but he's running out of arrows. Here Loki in armor enters the fray. The destroyer easily knocks out the villains. Clint thinks reinforcements have arrived, but Thor disappoints his friend. Loki throws a piece of concrete at his friends, but Cap manages to substitute a shield. At this moment, a train passes in the subway, separating the Avengers from their enemy. Clint manages to pick up the captain's shield. When the train passes, the destroyer is right in front of Clint. The villain shoots a fiery beam, but Hawkeye substitutes a shield. The flame hits the ceiling and stones fall on the destroyer. This gives the Avengers an opportunity to escape. Clint returns the shield to the captain. In a safe place, Thor tells his friends about the destroyer. This weapon was forged by the dwarves of Nidavellir at the request of Odin. The destroyer cannot be destroyed. He has one goal: to destroy. The destroyer is controlled by a living soul placed in armor. Thor believes that this time the Avengers will not be able to win. Cap doesn't agree with his friend. At this moment, the destroyer breaks into the shelter. Thor hears a voice from the armor, but can't remember who it belongs to. Stark, Cap, and Hawkeye stay behind to apprehend the destroyer, but the destroyer doesn't need them. Thor realizes that Loki's soul is hidden in the armor. The god of deception is ready to attack, but he is hit by a train. The destroyer easily stops the car and throws it at Thor. The car flies past the god of thunder, knocks down his friends. The destroyer is advancing on Thor. Loki wants to kill Thor, then destroy the Earth, and then Asgard. Loki admits that the Enchantress gave him new powers, and now he will happily kill his brother. Clint manages to set up the repulsors in Stark's suit and shoot the destroyer. The shot throws Loki away, but cannot harm him. The destroyer shoots fire at Clint. Stark grabs a pneumatic nail gun and tries to stop the destroyer. Cap helps as much as he can. Loki will only make their attempts laugh. Thor, impressed by the strength of the spirit of his friends, regains hope and faith in his strength. The power of the thunder god is returning to him. The spell subsides. The captain and Stark also regain their powers. The Avengers charge in. Thor attacks with a hammer and forces the destroyer to retreat. Stark scans the armor and realizes that the destroyer is powered by simple natural energy. Stark develops a plan. Cap throws his shield under one of the rails, and when the destroyer steps on the shield, Thor strikes with lightning. A lightning bolt along with a repulsor charge expels Loki's spirit from the destroyer's armor. The destroyer falls to his knees, and Clint knocks him to the ground with a final blow. Loki finds himself back in his dungeon. The Enchantress tightens the bonds on him. The Enchantress contacts her demon master Surtur and reports that Loki has lost, but the seed of destruction has already fallen into the ground. Stark and the others place the destroyer's armor in a special crypt where they will not harm anyone else. Captain America, Thor, Captain Marvel, and the Wasp arrive at Stockman's Tower. They accompany a criminal named Whirlwind. Whirlwind will be placed in prison in Zone 42. The Avengers pass through the portal and find themselves in the negative zone where the prison is located. At the entrance they are met by the Warden. The Avengers and the Warden lead the whirlwind past the cells where other criminals are sitting. The light is flashing, but the Warden says that everything is fine. The whirlwind is put in a cell. One of the prisoners, nicknamed Leader, screams in his cell. He warns the Avengers of an imminent attack. The light flickers again. Agent Quartermain invites the heroes to the control room. The agent reports strange flashes around the prison. The light goes out again for a few moments. At the 95th level, there is a large loss of voltage. Captain America, Captain Marvel, and Agent Quartermain head there to figure out what's going on. Arriving at the scene, they see a huge hole in the power circuits of the prison, a hole as if someone had chewed through. Thor and the Wasp also inspect the corridors of the station. In one of the rooms, they are attacked by a huge alien beetle. The heroes manage to repel the attack and the beetle runs away. A signal for help is heard on the radio from the control room and all the Avengers rush there. The control room is destroyed. The surviving fighter reports that they were attacked by a beetle and dragged away the head of the prison. Besides, the beetle damaged the airlock for returning to Earth, and now it will open only when a new shift takes over. The Wasp detects a bug in the cells. He is in the dining room. Everyone goes there. One of the guards reports that a large cluster of bugs has been found outside the prison. At this moment, the prison wall explodes and bugs burst into the opening. The Avengers and guards attack them. One of the bugs grabs the boss and flies into the hole. Captain Marvel flies after him. Captain America orders Thor to follow her. Outside, Carol and Thor see a huge swarm of bugs heading towards the prison. Agent Quartermain blocks the dining room door to cut off the bugs from the rest of the premises. The guard reports that there are a large number of bugs around Captain Marvel and Thor. Captain America orders his friends to retreat. The connection is interrupted and the captain wants to go to the aid of the Avengers, but Agent Quartermain does not want to open the dining room door as it is too dangerous. Then the dining room door falls. Captain Marvel and Thor are on the threshold. They manage to repel the attack. Cap believes that this is just the beginning. Agent Quartermain adjusts the scanner in the command room and reports that a huge swarm has gathered around the prison. If the Avengers do not eliminate the threat, then a new shift will meet with bugs. And then the swarm attacks the Earth. Captain America believes that it is necessary to destroy the gateway to prevent this, even if in this case the Avengers will not be able to return to Earth. Captain Marvel suggests another plan. The Avengers tell the prisoners about the threat that hangs over the prison and offer the criminals to fight together. Some of the criminals agree. Baron Zemo also wants to join the battle, but Captain America refuses to let him out, fearing betrayal. The Avengers are joined by the Executioner, Abomination, Leader, Whirlwind, Marvel, and several other prisoners. Captain America puts the fighters in position. The Leader reports that the swarm is starting to attack. The bugs break down the door. The Leader hears the voices of the swarm and moves aside. The bugs head to the defenders of the prison. The fight begins. The Executioner and Marvel shoot the bugs with blasters. Thor uses a hammer. The captain wields a shield. The bugs stop. The Leader reports that the swarm has received an order to stop. Before Avengers leader appears Roy, he shoots the heroes of the energy beam from his staff and throws them. The Beatles once again go on the attack. In the battle, the Executioner saves Thor. Captain America orders the soldiers to retreat. Now in the fight, Wasp, Radioactive Man, and the Absorber. Roy breaks to cameras. The Leader hears the thoughts of the leader Roy and learns that his name is Angelus. The battle is right at the camera. Bugs one by one destroy the defenders of the prison. The Leader said that Annihilus commands Roy. Captain America orders the guards to retreat to the control room and to protect the gateway. Abomination decides to run away from the battlefield. The Leader asks you to carry it with you in the control cabin. The Avengers attack Annihilus, but their weapons can't break through his defense. The defenders of the prison is less and less. Agent Quartermain and Captain Marvel are watching the battle from the cockpit. Quartermain decides that it's time to destroy the gateway. At this moment, the cabin bursts into the Abomination and the Leader. The Leader sits at the computer. Captain Marvel wants to stop the villains, but the Leader says he wants to help and disable the protection of Annihilus. Captain Marvel gives the villain 2 minutes and tells the Avengers what you need to prepare for attack. Protection of Annihilus subsides and the Avengers rush to the attack. Cap and Wasp hit Annihilus to Earth and Thor hammer blow breaks the staff of Annihilus. Roy stops and rushes to their leader. The Beatles carry Angelus beyond the prison. The Leader informs the Avengers that Annihilus embodies the chaos of the negative zone and its purpose is to destroy matter. Through the gateway comes a new changing of the guards. Captain America welcomed them. A few days have passed and Captain Marvel is flying over the Night City. She lands on the roof of a building where Iron Man is already waiting. He informs Carol that she is no longer needed by the Avengers. Captain Marvel is compensated by this fact. Iron Man attacks her. Captain Marvel releases a light charge into Iron Man's head. He shoots back. Captain Marvel falls. She sees that in front of her is not a real Tony Stark, but a robot in an Iron Man suit. Vision and a copy of Captain Marvel arrive at the scene of the fight. A neurointerface is installed by the real Carol Danvers. Vision takes Captain Marvel away. Thor is the next target, but Vision orders not to attack him without a command. Vision brings Captain Marvel to Ultron's base and places her in a special capsule. Ultron created copies of the Avengers and called them synthesoids. He orders Vision to capture the rest of the Avengers before dealing with Thor. In the Avengers mansion, Captain America is training. His occupation is interrupted by Hawkeye. He brought the captain a new shield that Tony Stark made for him. This new shield can take different forms and create a force field. The captain does not want to part with his old shield and with an accurate throw knocks the control bracelet of the new gadget off Barton's hand. Into the training, the synthesoids Hawkeye and Captain America, led by Vision, burst into the hall. The androids did not expect Barton to be with Cap, but decide to capture both. A fight begins. The captain fights with his double. Clint and his copy shoot arrow after arrow at each other. Vision shoots at Hawkeye with a laser beam, but the captain he covers him with a shield. Barton knocks Vision to the ground with well-aimed shots. Then he manages to tie up a copy of Captain America. A powerful explosion will be heard. Clint is paralyzed with electricity. Part of the ceiling collapses on the captain and his double. A neurointerface is implanted in the Falcon's eye. The captain's double comes out of the smoke and reports that the real Cap is destroyed, only S.H.I.E.L.D. The Wasp is sitting in front of the mirror. When Vision enters her room, he is ordered to capture the Wasp and not damage it. The Wasp engages in a fight with the android. Vision wounds her in the shoulder. Meanwhile, Thor flying over the city is also attacked by synthesoids in the guise of Avengers. Robots attack Thor. The God of Thunder does not understand what is happening and does not want to fight with friends. The synthesoids defeat Thor. The captain is preparing to deliver the last blow, but then a copy of Thor arrives and finishes off the real God of Thunder. Thor falls into the river. At Ultron's base, Vision looks at the unconscious Wasp. Ultron knocks Vision down with a laser shot. The Wasp wakes up and sees Ultron. Ultron wants to replace the Avengers with robots, and the Wasp's consciousness wants to be placed in an artificial body. Vision puts the Wasp in a preservation capsule. Synthesoids arrive at Ultron's base. They brought Thor's body. Ultron orders to put Thor in a capsule. The synthesoid Captain America wants to remove the neural interface from Thor, but Ultron shoots him. Ultron nurses Captain America was not a robot, but a real Captain America, who pretended to be a robot, but Ultron immediately realized who he was. Ultron orders Vision to kill the captain. A fight begins. A copy of Hawkeye wants to intervene, but Ultron forbids. He wants Vision to execute the order himself. The captain cannot cause serious damage to Vision. Vision does not understand why the captain continues to fight. Vision hits the captain and Cap falls. Ultron orders Vision to finish off Cap, but the android destroys the Avengers capsules with a laser beam. They rush into battle. The Wasp destroys the neurointerface Thor, and the God of Thunder returns his hammer. Thor and the Avengers destroy the synthesoids and attack Ultron. Thor attacks first, but Ultron easily withstands the hammer blow. Ultron's body is made of adamantium, so the Avengers do not harm him. Ultron hits the Avengers one by one with laser beams. He grabs Iron Man and is going to kill him. At this moment, Ultron is attacked by Vision. Vision, becoming immaterial, penetrates into Ultron's body and manages to detach Ultron's head from the body. Ultron shoots Vision in the face with a laser. Thor blows off Ultron's head with a hammer blow. Ultron's body explodes. A fire starts on the base. The Avengers leave the base. Captain America refuses to leave Vision, even if the others are against. The ceiling it begins to collapse and one of the debris hits the Wasp. Iron Man picks it up in his arms. The Avengers run out of Ultron's base. Captain America comes out last. He carries Vision in his arms. Vision is damaged but alive. Iron Man and the Wasp come to Hank Pym's laboratory at Grayburn College. There is a terrible mess in the laboratory. Hank Pym meets the guests. He looks bad. Pym wants to show Tony his new invention. He has developed a new prison for villains. Tony considers this invention a bad idea. Stark offers Pym to work with him in a circle of friends. To the request of Stark is joined by the Wasp. Hank is disappointed with this reaction and asks his friends to leave. Stark and the Wasp are walking down the corridor when suddenly an explosion is heard in Pym's laboratory. Tony covers the Wasp from the wreckage. The laboratory is destroyed and only laboratory glasses remain from Pym. The Avengers and other heroes meet at the opening of the monument to Ant-Man. Tony makes a speech in honor of the deceased Hank. The upset Wasp departs from the others to the Grove. Nick Fury finds her there. He needs to talk to Tony Stark. Stark comes and Fury informs him that the explosion in the laboratory was not an accident. The Colonel passes the remnants to the Avengers, an explosive device. The Avengers gather at their base. Jarvis scans the device and Pym's last halyards. Hank has recently been following a criminal group called the Snake Society. The Avengers are heading to the villains' lair to deal with the villains and find the prototype that Pym was developing. Stark asks the Wasp not to interfere. Captain America and the Panther arrive at the specified coordinates. They find fresh tracks. A scream is heard. One of the members of the Snake Society is attacked by an unknown person. He calls himself a Hornet. The Hornet points a gun at the villain, but the Captain and the Panther intervene. The Hornet engages in a fight with the Avengers. He manages to distract them with a swarm of Hornets and shoot at the villain. He disappears in a yellow flash. The Hornet is attacked by a Wasp. He flies away and the Wasp rushes in pursuit. Janet catches up with the enemy on the roof and shoots energy rays at him. The Hornet destroys the barrel on the roof and fills the Wasp with water. The Hornet flies away, and the Wasp discovers a mechanical Hornet on his arm. The Wasp believes that the Hornet is Hank Pym. At the Avengers base, Janet makes his assumptions, but the Avengers doubt, because the Hornet does not look like Pym either in physique or radiation from the suit. Hawkeye watches the news. They show how the Hornet deals with the rest of the Snake Society. Journalists are already calling him a hero. Barton is caught doing this by the Panther. Jarvis reports that Thor has discovered the Hornet. Clint and the Panther rush to the scene of the fight. The Hornet fights with the Cobra and annihilates it. At this time, Thor arrives and shoots. The Hornet is hit by lightning. The Hornet flies away. Thor rushes in pursuit. The Avengers rush to Thor's aid on a Quinjet. The Hornet hides from Thor in an empty building. The God of Thunder bursts into the room and throws a hammer at the enemy. The Hornet shoots the hammer and Thor's weapon disappears. Thor rushes at the enemy with bare hands and the yellow ray hits the Avenger's chest. Thor disappears. The Avengers who arrived at the scene see it. The Wasp rushes to the Hornet and tears off his mask. Hank Pym turns out to be under it. The Avengers ask him to stop, but the Hornet refuses to put away his weapon. Stark shoots from the repulsor. White and yellow rays collide. Everyone present disappears in a bright flash. On the floor, only a small prototype of the microterma remains. The Avengers and Hornet find themselves inside Pym's device. Thor meets them here. Hank says he didn't kill anyone. His gun carried the villains into the micro-prison, and now because of Stark they all ended up here. Stark inspects the cells in which the captured members of the Snake Society are sitting. The prison begins to shrink. Hornet says that his gun he served as the only way out. And now everyone who is in prison will be crushed. Explosions are heard and the villain cells open. Stark offers the Snake Society to unite for salvation, but Cobra commands to attack. The Avengers fight the Snake Society. Captain America deals with Cobra. Hornet knocks Constrictor out and saves Stark. Eagle-Eye binds the Bushmaster. Panther and Thor deal with the rest. The prison shrinks faster. Constrictor grabs the Wasp and threatens to kill her. The Hornet saves the girl and finally becomes the Hank she knew. Only Pym can save everyone from the trap. Pym takes the Avenger card from the Panther on which his biometric data remained. Then he asks Stark to open access to his reactor. Tony does not want to do this. Pym explains that the prison is configured only for his bioparameters, and if you connect the card to Tony's reactor, then Hank will be able to get everyone out of prison. Stark agrees. The prison walls shrink. Thor and others try to slow down the compression. Hank attaches the card to the reactor in Iron Man's chest. The Avengers take hands. The Wasp hugs Pym. The prison shrinks to the size of a dot and disappears in a bright flash. The Avengers, they return to the abandoned building. The Wasp hugs Pym. Stark thanks him for saving him. The Avengers arrive at the monument to Pym. The Wasp believes that the monument will have to be removed. Hank objects, because that Pym is no more. Now there is a Hornet. Hank says that he is ready to return to the Avengers as a Hornet. Stark does not like this idea. Jarvis reports a cluster of mole people and the Hornet rushes to the crime scene, followed by the rest of the Avengers. The next day, In the laboratory under the Avengers mansion, Tony Stark is repairing the Vision. Captain America is next to him. Stark scans the Vision to make sure that there are no surprises left in the robot from Ultron. Stark orders Jarvis to launch the Vision auto repair program. The android will be fully restored in 30 days. After the appointed time, Vision wakes up in the Avengers mansion. He inspects the rooms, but the mansion is empty. Vision goes up to the roof and sees that Stark's robots are patrolling the city. Tony's portrait is on a huge shield. Vision sees Stark's tower shrouded in purple radiance. Stark, Captain America, and Thor are standing in Tony's office. Cap congratulates Tony. Stark managed to fix the world. Vision returns to the lab and asks Jarvis to contact the Avengers. Jarvis does not respond. Vision reboots Jarvis. Artificial intelligence reports that it was disabled for 2 weeks on Stark's orders. Vision wants to know what happened while he was disabled. Jarvis reports that 25 days ago Stark launched a satellite that provided energy to the whole world. Then Tony gave a speech at the UN, after which the UN was abolished. Within a week, Stark's company took over peacekeeping functions around the world. Stark's robot squadrons patrolled the whole world. In a short time, any resistance was suppressed. Branches of Stark Industries were opened all over the world. All pockets of resistance were suppressed. The Avengers are watching the carved regions. Stark, Thor, and Captain America remained in New York. At this moment, Vision is attacked by Captain America. Cap wants to destroy Vision. He understands that everything is not all right with the Captain. Vision manages to capture Cap and he projects on the screen the speech of the Captain, which he uttered at the Ultron base. The Captain comes to. The heroes are attacked by Stark's robots. Cap and Vision fight together. Thor and Stark are watching the fight from their office. Next to them is Kilgrave, who controls Tony's consciousness. Vision and the Captain destroy robots. Jarvis manages to report that more robots are approaching the mansion. Vision uploads Jarvis to his database. 2 huge robots destroy the mansion. The Captain and Vision manage to fly away from them. Vision reports that a strange energy is spreading around the world and everyone is under its influence. This is Kilgrave's energy. The Captain says that Kilgrave was arrested on the very day when Vision was sent for repairs. Kilgrave escaped from prison and forced Tony to create a satellite to spread its energy to the whole world. In Stark's office, Kilgrave orders Tony to order the destruction of Vision and Captain America. Tony tries to resist. Kilgrave is very angry at Tony for that arrest. Captain Marvel gets in touch and Tony orders her to kill Vision and Captain America. Captain Marvel and Hawkeye attack Vision and Cap. Captain Marvel grabs Vision and takes off high into the sky. Barton shoots at Captain America's air bike. Captain Marvel shoots at Vision with light beams. He responds with a laser shot. Hawkeye blows up the Captain's bike. Cap jumps on Clint's motorcycle and continues the fight. Clint presses the Captain to the dashboard and directs the bike down. Cap asks a friend to wake up. A second before, when Barton manages to free himself from Kilgrave's influence, the heroes jump off the bike. Captain Marvel sees the bike explode. The death of her friends brings her to her senses. The heroes get together. The Captain orders Clint, Carol, and Vision to find the Quinjet and destroy Stark's satellite, and he himself will go to Tony to save him. Captain Marvel, Hawkeye, and Vision discover the Quinjet and deal with the guards. Vision says that it wasn't so difficult. At this moment, clouds are gathering in the sky and Thor will attack friends. Cap bursts into Stark's office. Tony is ready to meet and attacks the Captain. A fight begins. Tony attacks Cap with lasers. Cap repels the rays with his shield. Kilgrave watches the fight. Barton, Vision, and Captain Marvel fight Thor. Vision stays to detain Thor. Clint and Danvers fly away on a Quinjet. Thor beats Vision with a hammer, but then Barton turns on the engines of the Quinjet and discards the God of Thunder. The Quinjet goes into space. Vision discovers a satellite that guards a large number of Stark robots. The Quinjet pursues Thor. Vision says that he will deal with Thor and leaves the Quinjet. He increases his density and collides with Thor. Vision imprints Thor into the ground, where it forms a huge funnel. Barton is already ready to destroy the satellite. But Captain Marvel again falls under the influence of Kilgrave's energy and attacks a friend. Clint still manages to make an accurate shot in the fight and destroy the satellite. Captain Marvel comes to his senses and releases Barton. Thor comes to his senses on Earth. Vision informs the God of Thunder that he was controlled by Kilgrave. Iron Man beats the Captain in Stark Tower, America. Iron Man throws the captain to the floor and directs the laser beam directly into his face. Kilgrave orders Tony to kill a friend. Stark turns on the armor ventilation and frees himself from Kilgrave's influence. The laser beam throws the villain aside. Kilgrave tries to escape, but the Avengers who arrived at Stark Tower do not let him do it. Iron Man flicks his finger, knocks out Kilgrave. Captain America and Iron Man talk on the roof of the Avengers mansion. Tony promises to fix everything. Cap does not doubt his friend and believes that Stark can make the world a better place. Dear friends, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, then put likes and subscribe to the channel. I love everyone.